Okay, weighted means. Now, the scenario here in the first one, this is that nursing home ages problem that came from the previous chapter. And ultimately, we ended up making a frequency table for that. So we divided things up, made some classes, and then we counted up how many people were in each class. And so that was the frequency table. Now, smooshed into the center here, I put the midpoints for all of those classes. Okay. And suppose now I'm at the nursing home, I'm discussing my findings with the woman in charge of recreation or whatever. And then I'm giving her this like whole little frequency chart, and then she's like, well, I probably wouldn't tell her the midpoints. And then she's like, well, that's great and all, but just out of curiosity, I mean, I can see I got a lot of people in their 70s and 80s, but what is the average age here? And I think, I didn't come up with the average age. And you can't tell from looking at this frequency table that we had. There's no way to know what the average age is because I didn't individualize each person and then add them all up and divide by however many I got. What I did was now I've clumped them into little groups, and now I can't do it. So I quickly call for lunch. And then during lunch, I call back to my office and say, hey, can you give me that list of the ages for that nursing home? And then the little guy I got working for me says, well, I deleted that this morning because I knew you didn't need it anymore. So here I am. I've got a frequency table, and I've got no way of knowing what the average is for these things because all I've got is the frequency table. And what this does is it finds an approximate average for the frequency table. It's not the real average, but what it says is the sum of the fx over the sum of the f. Okay, so the sum of the f's would just be the total of that. I only have 18 residents listed there. All right, now I don't know. I know there's two people in the 50 to 59 age range, but I don't know how old they are. Okay, they might both be 50. They might both be 59, but I'm just going to guess they're both the midpoint. Okay, so I multiply these two numbers together, and that'll account for my two people in their 50s. Okay, so that would be 109. If I multiply 54.5 times 2, then I multiply 64.5 times 2, and then I multiply 74.5. This time I multiply by 4. You got to multiply by whatever's in this frequency column. And I got 298. Okay, so it's not you're multiplying by 2 every time. You're multiplying by whatever's in the frequency column. And you add all those up. 1451. Okay, so this thing says do all this multiplying. That's your numerator. Just add up the frequency column. That's your denominator. 1451 divided by 18. And I get 80.61. Okay, so we come back from lunch, and then I tell the woman, oh, yes, you asked about the mean? It's 80.61 years. Okay, now obviously it isn't really 80.61 years, but she's happy with my answer. I put a couple decimal places on it. She's fine with it. Okay, but then I get back to my office and I manage to recover the files. And if you do go back into chapter 2 and actually average those numbers that we made this whole thing out of, it was 79.44, and I said 80.61. So I'm like 1 year out. Everybody's happy with it. So that's how you find the mean if all you've got is a frequency table. The other one has to do with grades, so this is like on a 4.0 scale, that's what the X's are. And then in this particular class, apparently there's 110 possible points in the class, which seems a little strange, but then again, we get like 550 in this class. Okay, and what it says is whatever you made on that project times its weight. So you did really well in the first project, but you don't get a whole lot of points for that because it was like only worth 10 points out of the class. Okay, and then 3 times 20. Because you got B on that one. Things start to get harder, really kind of slip. And then you study super hard for the final because now you're kind of worried about your grade, and you manage to make an A on the final. So you're like, great, now what do I get in the class? Okay, so again, it's the same basic formula. WX over the sum of the W's. So WX, that's this column. Okay, that was 360 divided by 110. 3.27. Oh no. That's going to round down. You're not getting an A, you're going to get a B. On a 3.0 or 4.0 scale, you're getting a B.